Welcome, my name is Barney Reese. I'm the author of How Blessed You Are in God's Promises. We're going to continue reading this. This is going to be part 9 of Your Joy on chapter 30. I hope you're enjoying this series. Hopefully I'll be finished with this book eventually. This is a long series and I hope that you enjoy it. I still want it out, but I decided to make the best of it. It's funny when things feel like they are at the lowest to worst, there is always a silver lining in every dark cloud, and no matter how bleak life gets, learn to make the best of it, and I assure you it will get better. Well, I met a guy that said we had to be evaluated from secret to top secret clearance, for we had to redo everything for the last 5 years, our job, our education, and so on. I had met a man, and we just told the truth about everything and how I wanted to cross-train because I really did not see myself as much of a mechanic, and how I wanted out of the Air Force to go back to school. I was in phase. I've been in Aviano, Italy since October of 1994, and it was now somewhere in the middle summer of 1995. I had played my first tag football game, and I had lost to the Marines. I was training in Kuk Sulwan, and now I was telling the stranger what had happened to me and why I wanted to cross-train. I did not realize I could be facing prison time or dishonorable discharge or whatever they decided to do after this. I was kind of scared to say the least, but I believed everything would be okay. I had learned the man checked me out in my hometown of Meridian, Mississippi, and told my mom we want to keep Barney Reese. He's a good soldier, and you did a good job raising him. In the meantime, I continued to work, but I was later sent to the chief of the Air Force and the higher-ups and was asked, do you want out of the Air Force? I told them, yes, I do want out, but I would like to cross-train. The exact words of the Air Force higher-up was, all you have to do is say you are gay and we'll let you out tomorrow. I told them all, that goes against everything I stand for, and I went in honorably and I will leave honorably or I will serve my time. Since I had told the man the truth, I was released from the Air Force. They refused to let me cross-train in something else, and I would be released in due time. In the meantime, I was to help whatever they thought for me to put me. I was put in the tool room. I was help loading the depot for the destruction of the Air Force. Could get more money for next year. I was put painting. I was put helping the mail during holiday season. I was put cleaning the dorm, which I pretty much told them out there, y'all are a bunch of slobs. I was put running the snack bar as well, since both chow halls were down. I had to decide to sell sandwiches and drinks while at work. I had been given another roommate just before I left. That was in January. I had packed everything to be shipped, and I was going home. I was going to see my mom and brother, who had gotten on crack cocaine. I was concerned, to say the least. She was in her 60s, and I was in my 20s. She was all I had, and I would be home soon. My mom had bought me a rope gold chain while I was on my new roommate. I had decided to pry into my stuff. At the time, I benched over 245 pounds. I had become quite good at Kuk Sulwan. I told him I was going to talk to my friends, and if my gold chain does not magically appear, see the window behind you, I'm going to kick you through it. Do I make myself clear to you? I walked out and came back. I looked, and lo and behold, my gold chain had reappeared. Evidently, the guy had took me at my word. A few days before I went home, we went back to a normal job. I had only taken one vacation in 2 years, and so I would be getting out in mid-February. Until then, I would make the best of it. I ended up going to Venice. I saw one of the churches. I went to as many discos as I could. I continued to train in Kuk Sulwan. I even got to see snow in the Aviano, Italy. In January, just before I left, I gave all my books away. I sold my car. I sold my Sega Genesis. I packed all my stuff, but when I had to I accepted I was going home. A few days later, I went home. I got on the airport, and after a while, I landed in Pennsylvania Airport. From there, I went to Atlanta Airport, and finally to Meridian, Mississippi Airport. All in one day. It was my second time ever flying. I was happy to be home, to say the least. I was ready to get on with my life. When that turned out to be, I was welcomed by my mom, brothers, sisters, nieces, and nephews. I was home. It's a funny thing. I came home and immediately went to fixing my mom's plumbing. Some guy that worked at the base had fixed temporarily, and the pipes kept breaking. I went to the hardware store and replaced both sets of pipes. Problem solved. I also had my sister help me get an old beater 1996 Ford Taurus, which my brother-in-law had to fix the seat by welding it. But it would get me by till I could do better. I also went back to train in martial and karate. I did not care to see Leonard or Stephanie anymore. I was home and they were gone. It was time to move on. After only 2 weeks, I needed a job, something to do, so I ended up working for Hooper Sounds, an electronic salesman. I had been through hell, and the salesman wanted all the big sales and had no morals and values. I was a new guy. They would be number one. I would be gone. There was Barry, Smokey, Derek, Lee, Scott, and I was cutting into this action. I would have to go. I was just happy to work. I was there for only 6 months and brought me a 1995 Ford truck, maroon in color. I could train in karate at night and work in the day. Well, I did make a salesman at Super after nearly fighting everyone. They realized I was there to stay, so they finally accepted me. I sometimes wish my business were not so great. I was looking at the paper and I had a chance to buy a business to be a pawn shop. All I had to do was come up with a down payment. So I sold my TV and VCR, which was needed for overseas. I added a little more money to it, and I bought the building on the 5th Street. I was a business owner. I would have a pawn shop. I would have something to sell. I had a couple of glass cases. I had floors needed painted. I had a wall that was deteriorating. I had a lot of ammunition. I was going to get a gun license. I was a business owner. Melinda and Randy Rose had sold me a building on time, and now I would have my dream owning a business of being rich one day. After I had to do was clean it up. That was an understatement. It took me almost 3 months or longer to clean it up. It was hard work. My mom had to help me. I was a waiter at Chesterfield at night. I wanted to be a bartender, but I had become a waiter instead. I had no intentions of being around airplanes at this time. I finally finished getting the building ready to have a business. I had painted the floor gray. I had cleaned it up as best I could. I had salvaged what I could. I had put an alarm in the building, and I did not realize that not one, but both the buildings were damaged beyond repair. And where I wanted to be a pawn shop, you had to have a bond, which I did not have at the time. I ended up being a gun shop, and I had big dreams. It was funny how your dreams do not always run out like you think they should. I took my tax money and bought some guns after getting my gun license. Not only helped me, was my mother. After a few months, Chesterfield was slowly decreasing in what I was making in tips. The business was off. It was hard to pay for my business or car note, alarm lights, water at the business. Even though I was living with my mom, I was heartbroken, to say the least. I had put my heart and soul in what I had, and now I was struggling to make any money. I could not have a pawn shop. I could not sell guns to pay the rent and expenses. My job was making less and less. I really did not know what to do. I had heard you could make money at the Navy Air Station, starting off with $9.25 an hour. Picked up a phone and called Mr. York. I said, I know you do not know me, and I do not know if I qualify for physician, but I was an F-16 crew chief in the Air Force, and I really need a job, Mr. York. Said, were you discharged honorably? I said, yes, I was, and I can get my paperwork if needed. Mr. York said, yes, I will need that, and I resumed, you are hired. Come see me tomorrow. I thanked him and hung up the phone. I was going to go to work for Lear Sigler. I was hired at an A4 aircraft washer, but I ended up washing T2s instead. I was able to keep my business but a few months after that because I was sold 2 condemned buildings by an ex-police officer and his wife Melinda and Randy Rose. I was still working for Chesterfield when a reporter caught me in a uniform and told me I would have to fix the building or I'd be charged $1,000 a day until I could. I also would be facing criminal charges if found guilty and possible jail time as well. It is funny how when things are bad that we call out to the creator of the universe through Jesus, how even though we are not saved, but he still did not let you hurt one of his children, and we are always children. And he loves us all the same. I had come home, helped my mom buy a new trailer, and we moved to a trailer park in Briarwood Country Club. I was working for Chesterfield when I did that, so my retarded sister and I was able to buy my mother a bigger and nicer home, since my sister did not want my mother near her no more. I had come home, started a business, bought a vehicle, bought my home. I bought my mom a home, got a job. Now everything I was doing was falling apart. All I had worked for was going to be gone. I thought I had even gotten a 1998 Dodge Ram Laramie. I moved into an apartment. I was an A4 aircraft servicer. From an aircraft washer to the aircraft fueler and now an aircraft servicer. I was being sued by the city of Meridian, and I would have no choice but to go bankrupt. I even started seeing my future wife. In the meantime, Randy Rose, nicknamed Scarface, had gotten very ill, and Melinda had walked out onto her front porch and broke her legs. As she said, a freak accident. The building was going to Randy Rose and Melinda Rose by default, but by going bankrupt, my credit was being destroyed for a period of time. I do not believe in accidents and coincidence, but at the time, even though I did not know it, the creator of the universe and Jesus was taking care of me, and vengeance was theirs as I was